Alright, first and foremost, I'm going to say all praises be to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Rakah, Kodash. And then I'm going to say double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the sincere elect teaching the truth and faith and sincerity. Quick topic I want to speak on is this global food crisis that is taking place just right before our eyes. And it's about to, intensify. And, especially over the next couple of months, we're going to really see the true kind of impact of this weather that's been happening like all around the earth, but as well, especially over here in Europe. This heat wave, man, it's been on a prolonged, spectrum. You know what I mean? And it's like, as well, if we look at the whole circumstance with the Strait of Hormuz and the fertilizers and everything, the pieces in the puzzle that's already been taking place a couple months before we even had this adverse weather and the yields and the whole nine. You know what I mean? It's looking like, and it's guaranteed, right? That winter and into next year, that food crisis is going to be heavy. And as the scripture speaks about, the scripture also talks about famine. The incoming famine that's about to take place. You see? And the scripture even speaks about how things are going to get so bad that people are going to perish with famine. And cannibalism, will even, come forth. And it's like, if we look at this earth food supply as it is, and a lot of it is supplemented by, artificial fertilizer and just, a complete cycle of supply. But when that supply of fertilizer and adverse weather patterns and effects, that just leads to a lot of deaths, man. Yeah, I got the information where it says synthetic fertilizer sustains approximately 50%, right, of the global population, meaning about 4 billion people rely on it for basic food supply. Yeah, so just imagine like the fertilizer that we already do have supplies 50% of the global food supply. So if the fertilizer we already have supplies 50% of the global food supply, and that as a spectrum has already been interrupted by the Strait of Hormuz circumstance, it can only mean one. It can only mean one thing, which is simply the fact that, hey, if this global food supply circumstance has already been interrupted, with the Strait of Hormuz and the whole nine, if you include adverse weather, then it's like, 2027 is about to be dark, very dark. So the first scripture I want to get is, before I go into the information, is the book of Lamentations 4:9, where it says, they that be slain with a sword, alright? They that be slain with a sword. So that would, was talking about people who may die, in conflict, a drive-by or some shit, a war. Alright, they that be slain with a sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through one of the fruits of the field. Yeah, it's actually better to die. Die by, fucking a conflict or drive-by where it's a quick death than those that are, slain through starvation. Because you know what I mean, like the human body can go about a week without water before you die. But food, if you still have access to water, you know, you can go a couple of months. But those couple of months ain't easy, bro. Those couple of months, you know, first you start off, losing all of the sugar and glycogen. That's your body. And then, you know, you obviously get into a state called ketosis. But after that damn ketosis, that's when you start going into starvation mode. And, you know, your brain, the fact that your brain is selfish, you know, the fact that your brain is selfish, it just slowly, by slowly, it eats into your muscle, and then if it has nothing left, it starts going into your vital organs, and vital organs start to, you know, shut down, and eventually you die. But the thing is, when we talk about being in famine, it's like it's a grueling process, because like before people eventually die of famine, people will, you know, exhaust all the options they have for food. So whether that is, you know, eating their pets, you know, eating pets that they wouldn't normally eat, like, you know, dogs, or whether it be eating their pets, you know, or eating their belts, like we saw in the siege of Masada, you know, to, you know, eating certain leaves of trees that's kind of poisonous and causing you pain, but still trying to make it work. So like eventually, you know, people start to lose their minds, and when people start to lose their minds, people go as far as cannibalism, man. You know, and cannibalism is coming back. You know, and people might think it's so far-fetched because we're in this Western world and the comforts, but these people don't know how to deal with that hardship, man. That extreme hardship of cannibalism and famine. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't know, like, people in this Western world don't actually understand that in terms of food, this is the most comfortable the world has ever been. Think about it. 50% of the global food supply is supplemented by artificial fertilizer. So that means the earth is mass producing food under the system of Esau than the earth has ever even had. You know what I'm saying? So that means people are extremely, especially in this Western world, people are extremely accustomed to a standard and availability of food that they just never have had before. So these people don't know how to go without. And then if you mix and mingle the whole what's the word? If you mix and mingle you know, these toxic chemicals in foods that makes food hyper, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Addictive. It's a whole tsunami of just hell. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole tsunami of famine, man. You know what I'm saying? Which is coming back. It definitely is coming, man. All right. So without further ado, I want to read the bits and pieces, man, like of this article. All right. It says here. Give me one sec. It's on the plantation, but spirit hit me. It says JPMorgan warns a global food crisis could hit next year, and unlike oil, there's no backup plan for fertilizer. And obviously, that's something that we've been speaking about for a long time. You know, on the fertilizer that's been happening, Strait of Hormuz, and obviously this heat wave that's affecting many bread baskets around the world, especially over here in Europe, man. You know, places like France. You know, even what we have over here in the UK is severely affected. You know what I'm saying? And it says here, European farmers face unprecedented food crisis after successive heat waves. You see? And even the other day, man, there was a brother that posted information of farmers that have committed suicide because of this damn heat wave, man. Straight up, there's actually information that's come out on farmers who have killed themselves because of this heat wave affecting their crops, man. So it's about to get spooky, man. You know, and again, farmers are very important, you know, but people don't think about farmers and regard farmers, but they are literally the backbone of the society and food environment that we have, you know, to this very day. It says a huge slump in yields will lead to higher grocery bills for consumers. You know what I mean? Economists have warned, and it's going to get to the time of supreme inflation, hyperinflation, right? That's just Scripture speaks about you know what I mean, a penny for bread, you know, in Revelation, you know, where it basically touches on the fact that it's going to take a day's wages. It's going to take a day's wages in order for you to even have food. You know, which that touches on hyperinflation and just the whole nine. So it's about to get spooky, man. You know, and obviously you having earthquakes basically every other day, destroying all kind of infrastructure, killing all kind of people, and it's like, you know, another thing that happens when you have these earthquakes is, you know what I mean, is the infrastructure just completely shot and down. It says agriculture producers across the EU have warned of sharp drops in yields after Europe has been hit by successive heat waves this summer. Economists have said the losses, alright, are likely to push food prices higher in the coming months. So again, these are just things based on just the damn heat wave. Yeah. These are just things that are based on heat waves, right? So what about the Strait of Hormuz and the impact on the fertilizer? You see, things that people don't even think about. You know, it says June and July were the hottest on record in Western Europe, and it's been cooking like shit, man. All right. According to the EU's Copernicus climate change service, it says, which has warned of a continued risk of heat waves affecting much of Europe through August and into September. In France, one of the EU's largest grain producers, groundwater reserves were severely depleted across much of the country by early August, according to the Natural Geographic Survey. You see? So it touches on France and livestock, and even obviously that's on grain, but then even it's affecting livestock, you know, all ahead of winter. It says in northern Italy, home to one of Europe's main rice growing regions, water shortages have left some paddies completely burnt with rice dried out, according to Dieti, the country's largest farmers association. Farmers in Spain have likewise reported considerable shortfalls in cereal yields as well as cacao fodder deficits. So everything is pointing that 2027 is going to be like an interesting year in terms of judgment, in terms of prophecy. You see? Climate crisis under our feet, whilst food, soil, and land belong at the heart of the climate action. It says here 5 days ago from The Guardian, Britain's scorched fields mean a food crisis, and the government is ignoring one measure that would help. And the thing is, anything that they do ignore, whatever it may be, right? Anything that they do ignore, or whatever it may be, entirely is planned. It's planned that way. Because these elites, right, they are the sword of the Lord. And they want you guys to suffer. You know what I'm saying? They want you guys to suffer. Because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, man. Alright? Let's carry on in the scriptures. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance. This is this is Ecclesiasticus 39 and 28 to 29. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in a fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Yeah. No, and the Lord is about to open the floodgates of judgment upon this earth. But there's different diverse types of judgments, which include starvation and famine. Right? And the Lord makes them. The scripture speaks about the evil arrows of famine. Alright? It says fire and hail and famine and death. So for famine to take place, remember, famine has many aspects. It can be the actual food supply, as in food availability, alright, or having access to food, or even, you know, have to do with the crops and things affecting its yields and weather patterns affecting, you know the yields and stuff. The scripture speaks about the fearful constellation, right? And death. All these were created for vengeance. You see, teeth for wild beasts and scorpions and serpents, and a sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandments and shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when their time has come, they will not transgress their word. And the scripture says, there be many of them upon the earth that shall perish of famine, and the others that escape the sword. The famine. The others that escape the famine shall the sword destroy. And it's like in this time, the Lord is only gonna protect his elect. Psalms 33 and 18. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them. Is upon them that is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. All right, which is elect. To deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. Oh, so like that's another scripture. But that's that Psalm 33, man. To keep their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. And there are many examples in the scriptures of, men or women and children that the Lord had mercy on and protected in times of famine, man. Because, when famine hits, bro, people lose their minds. People start like considering food options that was never an option. And if the Lord ain't dealing with you, man, you gonna go as far as cannibalism, man, straight up. All right. In fact, the scripture that comes to mind, actually, yeah, it's in the same. In Kings, where it speaks about the whole situation with them women. But the first scripture, the actual second scripture I want to get is Second Ezra 15 and 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Alright? It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand to fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and of course the ashes shall stand in their power. It says, and the course of the actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So you're gonna have martial law, and especially like when you have a food crisis, people are gonna be trying to hold up food and buy up food and fight for food. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And guess what? These major cities are going to feel the worst effects. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy the houses with a sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. So the fact it says that there shall be lack of bread and great tribulation gives you a strong indication that the food supply is going to be affected, to the point people will actually have to go to their neighbor that they was all cool with and friends with, and quite simply, take matters into their own hands because of the lack of bread, because of great tribulation. And especially in these cities, which these cities are food deserts. You see, these cities are food deserts, and these supermarkets, they only have a certain amount of days of food. You see, and it's like if you're having blockades, if you're having shortages in certain regions, yo, it get dark real quick. And we saw the circumstances in in COVID, man. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 16 and 6 and 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sold places appear unsown, and the full storehouses shall be found empty. You see? So all these warehouses and these farms and places that they, have food and are just so known to have food, yo, it's being emptied already. You know what I'm saying? It's already being emptied. That they ain't able to produce what they're normally, accustomed to. So that's all gonna have an impact, right? So that's why it's like the scripture even speaks about how his servants shall eat. The actual scripture speaks about how the servants of the Lord are going to be alright, and the Lord is going to take care of us, man, and protect us. But for all these other people that have scoffed against the truth, they're going to be left out. You know what I'm saying? Let me end with 2nd Ezra 16. This is the book of 2nd Ezra 16, and I think it's verse 14. Alright, this is 2nd Ezra 16. No, at 17 it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, right? The beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And that's always the question. What shall you do when these evils shall come? What shall we do when these evils come? And the thing is, we as a hopeful elect, we hope and pray that the Lord protects us and our families in these times of famine and wars and stuff, and tribulation. Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Yeah, because when these things happen, people don't, like, only spiritual people think about God. But a lot of people, they're just going to be thinking about, where is Esau? Where is Pharaoh at? Where is his femur at? Behold, the victory shall be so good cheap on the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evil grow upon the earth, the sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the sword, escape the hunger, shall the sword destroy. So the scripture says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, man. Many. And the earth's population is is the biggest that it's ever been. We've seen, with Esau and his elites, to maintain population under 500 million. So with that being done, that caters to a lot of deaths, man, which is about to come. So it's gonna be dark, man, which is beautiful. and we as the hopeful elect, we hope and know and believe that if we be of His elect, the Lord is gonna provide and take care of us. So hey, with that, I just wanted to touch a bit on that topic. Touch on some headlines on famine and stuff. So hey, with that, I'm gonna say all praise be to how Bashman Shai Bashman Kakudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Till next time, I'm gonna say Shalom.